the 2016 Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young Debate Series. Brought to you from the studios of Georgia Public Broadcasting. The Republican race for United States Senate.
Good evening. I'm Bill Nigut. I'm the host and executive producer for Georgia Public Broadcasting's Political Rewind and Two-Way Street. We'd like to welcome you to the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young Debate Series, originating from the GPB studios here in Atlanta. This is the debate among the Republican candidates for United States Senate. Now let's meet the candidates. They are, in alphabetical order, Mary Kay Bacallao. She is a college professor, former Fayette County Board of Education member, and she was a candidate for State Superintendent of Schools in 2014. Derrick Grayson is a MARTA engineer, minister, and U.S. Navy veteran from Stone Mountain. Johnny Isakson has been a U.S. Senator for Georgia since 2005. Before that, he represented Georgia's 6th Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives from 1999 to 2005. Senator Isakson declined the opportunity to participate in this debate due to a scheduling conflict, so the press club has decided he should be represented by an empty podium, a long-standing debate tradition. Now let's meet our panelists. Katie Foody is a reporter for the Associated Press focusing on breaking news and Georgia politics. Jim Galloway writes Political Insider, a column for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And Rose Scott is an award-winning journalist and co-host for Closer Look on WABE 90.1 FM. Tonight's debate will consist of 3 rounds. For more information on the rules for each round, visit the Atlanta Press Club website, atlantapressclub.org. Now, we're going to start the first round in a second and give our panelists a chance to ask questions, but I'm going to take the first shot at this if I can. I want to hear from each of you, if you will, please. Are you supporting and will you vote for Donald Trump for president?
If the choice is Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, I'm definitely voting for Donald Trump. And the most important thing that I can do is to be elected to the U.S. Senate so that no matter who is president, I will be able to repeal the bad laws that have been passed in the last 10 to 15 years that are destroying our economy, our schools, our jobs. So much needs to be repealed. Donald Trump can't do that. I'll be able to do that when you elect me.
Mr. Grayson?
I always tell people that I am a strict constitutional conservative, Bill. There are some things that I would have to be able to overcome with Mr. Trump before I will commit to voting for him. So I'm waiting for things to flush out and see what he says in the debates. Things that were troubling to me, one was the troops would obey an unlawful order if he told them to. He also supports a federally backed single-payer system. And there are some other things that are troubling to me. I want somebody that I can support that believes in 100% of the Constitution, 100% of the time. And if Donald Trump can convince me that that's where he stands, then I will give him my vote.
All right, thank you both for answering that question. For us, Katie Foody, in this round, each candidate's going to be asked one question by one of our panelists. Candidates have 60 seconds to answer the questions. Now, Katie Foody, you get the first question for Derrick Grayson.
Mr. Grayson, I just wanted to follow up on our first question. You've expressed concerns about Mr. Trump before. I believe in a July video you called him a progressive. How do you think that you could overcome that, and what's the alternative for you as a Republican in November if you can't reconcile the things that you talked about?
I am a conservative. I belong to the Republican Party. I believe in the Republican Party, but I believe that Mr. Trump is a reaction to the anger of many that are in the Republican Party, the base that is. The only way for me to overcome that with Donald Trump is for Donald Trump to get an understanding of the Constitution. And I always use the example, the children of Israel rejected God's word for a king, and they got what they deserved. They were taken away into captivity. I don't want to see that happen to America. And day in and day out, we have politicians in the Republican Party that trash the Constitution consistently. And someone has to say, this is where the line in the sand is. So if I have to look at the Libertarian Party for presidential bid, then, I may consider that, but I will not be complicit in my own destruction.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Grayson. Jim Galloway, we're going to turn to you now. You have a question for Mary Kay Bacallao.
Ms. Bacallao, you say you got into this race to prevent a federal takeover of education in the United States. Tell us what you mean by this. Are you saying that Johnny Isakson, who was once chairman of the State Board of Education, has participated in that takeover? Or are you saying that Governor Sonny Perdue, one of the creators of Common Core standards, has also participated in this takeover?
As a Fayette County School Board member, I found that there was nothing I could do about the standards, the testing, the assessments, what kids are taught, when they're taught, even the teacher evaluations. All of that is dictated because of state law. So I read the state law, and then I went even further. I read Johnny's bill, and this is Johnny's bill. This is the Every Student Succeeds Act. I read it starting in March, over a year ago, and I told him that if he voted for this bill, I would run against him. I contacted him again in July. He still voted for the bill, and again in December. This bill causes our state to have to submit our electronic records to Congress about our test scores, about our surveys, about everything that our students are doing.
All right. Thank you so very much. Rose Scott, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask a question.
This question is for candidate Derrick Grayson. Mr. Grayson, you've come under fire recently for some campaign messaging involving Senator Isakson and his health, and also going as far as saying that you believe he's going to retire, and then Governor Deal would make his replacement. Do you want to take the opportunity to walk back some of that, or do you stand by those comments?
I stand by those comments 100%.
And what are your sources?
Someone on the inside who wanted to remain anonymous told me in February of 2015 that Mr. Isakson was going to announce either a family issue or a health issue. I think it was either late March or early April. Mr. Isakson announced to Georgians that he had Parkinson's disease. Now, I want to clarify something. The only thing that I said about Mr. Isakson's disease is that I pray for his well-being. However, it is still unfair, and it is my responsibility to let Georgians know what I know, and that they consider Mr. Isakson's health in light of his age. And if Mr. Isakson retires, Georgians would have been cheated out of an opportunity to vote for someone that could carry forth a full 6-year term.
Mr. Grayson, let me exercise my prerogative to ask a follow-up, if I may. The Isakson campaign, the senator himself, have said that, yes, they've certainly acknowledged his illness, but they've said that they have every reason to think he'll be able to serve his term, that the condition progresses slowly. Do you feel it's appropriate to use his health as an issue in this campaign?
Yes, I do, and I stand by that, but more importantly, something that I have talked about consistently, this is 2 pages of Mr. Isakson's voting record, and the man refuses to appear to answer the question or the charges concerning continuing resolutions, et cetera, et cetera. So if the people of Georgia have a problem with the truth, that cannot be my cross to bear.
Okay, I appreciate your answer. Excuse me. Panelists, we're going to give you a chance in a few minutes to ask some more questions, but that concludes our first round. In the second round, each candidate's going to ask one question to his or her opponent. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to ask the question, 60 seconds to respond, and then we'll have 30 seconds for rebuttal. By random selection, Ms. Bacallao, you have the first question.
My question is for Johnny Isakson. I'm concerned about the laws that you've been passing. And I know that he's not here right now, but I would like an answer to this. And because I've read the bills, and he has put his name on the Every Student Succeeds Act back in 2013 when I first started looking at it, my question to you is, did you do this wittingly or unwittingly? But for whatever reason you voted for it, It's really hurting us. And every day, I as a math teacher have to teach things that I know aren't the way kids learn. And the kids aren't being able to fulfill their destiny. They're not being able to advance in math, advance in science because of all of these state standards that have to be the same. They have to be the same for every state. The assessments have to be the same for every state. Do you realize what you've done?
All right. Well, clearly, Senator Isakson is not here, so you did have an opportunity to use all of your time to make a statement that concerns you about Senator Isakson's record. So thank you for that. You now, Mr. Grayson, have an opportunity to ask a question.
My question is for Mr. Isakson as well, and that is, in October of 2015, there was a vote to carry or to lift the debt cap into 2017. When Mr. Isakson saw that there were enough votes to carry that bill, he approached Mitch McConnell and changed his vote from yes to no. So my question is, Mr. Isakson, was that because this is an election season and you didn't want to be accused of expanding government again by raising the limit on how much the federal government can spend?
All right. Again, because Senator Isakson is not here, we're going to allow you to take your 30 seconds of rebuttal time now, as we did a moment ago, and continue with that line of thinking for another 20 seconds or so now.
Okay. Well, since he's not here, I'm going to simply say that the fact that he's not here speaks volumes, because I have 2 pages of questions to ask on this, and to me, they are indefensible.
All right. Thank you so much. For those of you who are just joining us, this is the debate between the Republican candidates in Georgia's United States Senate primary. We're now going to go to our third and final round. In this round, each panelist will ask a question of the candidate of his or her choice until we run out of time. I'll determine when a rebuttal is appropriate. And Rose, you get the first question.
Thank you, Bill. This question is for candidate Bacallao. You have stated on your website that you want to, quote, restore the liberty that has been legislated away.
Exactly.
What do you mean by that?
So many bills. I like to read, and I read ahead. And so if you read ahead, you read the bills before they get passed, and you see what's coming. And this is what I've done in the state, with the state bills and with the federal bills. But unfortunately, the bills are already passed. They're already law. And I'm talking about bills like the Every Student Succeeds Act, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, the Affordable Care Act. All of these bills, they haven't been fully implemented yet. But as they are fully implemented, our nation will be run like the VA. One-stop shopping, health care that is subpar. Veterans get the worst health care. They should be getting the best health care. This is coming to our nation because of these bills. We need someone who will go to D.C., who will read the bills before they vote and vote no when they need to.
Jim Galloway.
Bill, if you'll indulge me, this question is going to be for both candidates here. For the last 2 sessions, the state legislature has been involved in a knockdown, drag-out fight over medicinal marijuana. The sticking point is that pot remains a Schedule I prohibited drug at the federal level. Would you change this? And if so, how far would you take decriminalization? Mr. Grayson, if we could begin with you.
I would take decriminalization all the way. I think that marijuana should be available for individuals if they choose to, whether it be recreationally, and certainly for medical reasons, it should be made available to them. And yes, I would fight for it at the federal level.
Ms. Bacallao?
Did you say you would fight for?
He said he would be, he's fine with legalization of marijuana for both recreational and medical uses.
Okay, well, I'm not in favor of legalizing marijuana, but I do not think that it should be a federal issue. I believe that our state needs to decide that, just like they have in Colorado. Georgia needs to decide. It's amazing how many freedoms we're losing, and at the same time, these other freedoms, it doesn't balance out. Should we give up all of our liberties of educating our kids and choosing what jobs we want and getting the federal government to stop overtaxing us and overregulating us, and at the same time, we're talking about something like legalizing marijuana. We need to push back on our liberties being taken away. And I know some people are looking for other liberties in terms of marijuana, but I don't think that that is what being a senator is all about.
All right, Katie Foody, it's your turn to ask a question of the candidate of your choice.
Mr. Grayson, this one is for you. As you may know, the Senate is currently debating a criminal justice package that would give judges more discretion in sentencing for some offenders and address re-entry after prison. In 2014, as a candidate for Senate, you acknowledged you had a since-pardoned felony conviction, and you've spoken about how you've worked with people because of your experience. How would that shape your decisions on this issue as a U.S. Senator?
Well, let me make clear this. 25 years ago, when I did whatever it was that I did, I paid for that. I didn't ask for any special treatment. We had laws that were in place. No one made me do what I did, but I did, and I paid for it. So as far as I'm concerned, that is a dead issue in terms of what is happening today and what they are having their knockout, drag out over. My past experience has no bearing on what is taking place today. That said, there is a lot of things that are taking place where people are simply being punished for profit, and it needs to stop. And yes, I agree that a change needs to take place in terms of criminal justice reform, because every case is different and everybody should not be treated the same.
I want to give you, do you want to ask a follow-up? Do you have any follow-up question on that one? Because if you don't, I'd love to follow on that one. I'm interested in getting your take on this. We know that Governor Deal.
Mine or his?
Oh, I'm going to let you talk about it, okay. Ms. Bacallao. We know that Governor Deal has gotten an enormous amount of positive attention for his criminal justice reforms since he became governor. And Katie Foody's referring to this bill now in Washington that David Perdue has opposed, a federal bill that will help less dangerous felons become, reacclimated into society to kind of cut down on recidivism. And Senator Perdue has taken a lot of heat because he's been in the minority of those who say they don't want this bill to pass. If you were to go to Washington as his partner in the Georgia delegation, where would you stand on that? With him or against him?
Well, I believe that the federal government has created so many problems in terms of the breakdown of the family and incentivizing, single moms, incentivizing what they've done in education, where now they have a new system called the Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports, where teachers are discouraged from punishing kids, and they're only supposed to use positive reinforcement. And we even passed a bill in our state legislature that if you are a 1- or 2-star school, you have to do this system where teachers cannot punish kids. And then as they go out and become adults, all of a sudden they're having to deal with the criminal justice system, and they realize that, wow, I can be punished. We are setting our kids up to go to jail with the education system that we have right now.
So would you stand with or against Senator Perdue on the newest phase of a congressional plan to reform criminal justice to ease the transition back into private life?
Well, like I said, the federal government can't solve problems that they have created. And I don't trust the federal government to get involved in the criminal justice system in our state. That is a state's sovereignty issue.
Does anybody on the panel, Rose Scott, do you have another question you'd like to ask?
Yes, Bill, I do. I have a question for Mr. Grayson. You're a veteran, so clearly you're aware of all the issues plaguing VAs across this country. And although there is an overhaul currently underway, but from your viewpoint, what still needs to happen to improve the services that the veterans in this country need?
First, Mr. Isakson needs to be removed as chairman of Veterans Affairs. That's first and foremost. Secondly, legislation that has been held up, that has been negotiated on, that has been put on the back burner, needs to pass that would allow us to fire individuals that are running the Veterans Administration. I can't tell you the number of people that I have spoken with that talk about the backlog in getting service. Members that are put on waiting lists in hopes that they die. So I would like to see Johnny Isakson off of Veterans Affairs. I would like to see legislation passed that would punish those that are in charge and making this problem. And I'd like for there to be some criminal prosecution taking place when we find that we have people engaged in activities that harm our veterans instead of help them.
All right, thank you, Mr. Grayson. Jim Galloway, you got another question?
Let's go back to you, Mr. Grayson. You on your website, you advocate non-intervention as advocated our fathers, rather than being the world's policeman. How far are you willing to take this? Should we have any military presence in the Middle East? Should we have troops in South Korea? Should we have them in Western Europe?
So to be clear, yes, I am a constitutionalist. I believe in non-intervention as it relates to regime change. And everything that we have done with regards to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya has been about regime change. Yes, wherever we have allies and they want us there, yes, I believe in us having a military presence there because we are wanted there, and we are not there to overthrow some other government who decided that they wanted to keep their loot for themselves and not give it to us, or not get down on their knees and obey us as we dictate. So I believe in our Constitution. I believe in bona fide treaties. I believe in honoring whomever it is that we have as an ally.
We're really close to being out of time, I'm told. And so let me offer you an opportunity to answer that question with this slight change, if I may. Is the Obama administration, in your opinion, doing all it can to prosecute the war against ISIS? Are they fighting it the right way? If you're in the United States Senate, how will you deal with that issue when measures come before you?
That's a very important issue, and right now they're not addressing it the way they should. They're not even calling it radical Islamic terrorism. They need to, and as a U.S. Senator, it would be my job to make sure that the president, whoever that president may be, is doing their executive function, and it's Congress's role to declare war. The president doesn't get to declare war. Congress gets to do that. And so it's a different kind of situation because it's not a single country. It's Islamic terrorists in all of these countries. So we need to work with the other countries to fight this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's all the time we have for questions. Now each candidate has 60 seconds for a closing statement. Mary Kay Bacallao, you go first.
Well, by the time you're seeing this, it's Sunday and it's Mother's Day, and so I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. And what I would like to do for the mothers and the fathers out there is to give you the ability to go to your local school board member, to go to your local school, and to be able to say, I want you to teach this, I want you to do this, I want them to learn this, instead of having the federal government pick what's learned, when it's learned, and pick what books are being read. That's your role. And if you send me to D.C., I'm going to read the bills, and I'm going to tell you what they say. I will be sitting at the desk with the bills, with the Constitution. You will know what to expect from me. I am not going to be playing any games or making any deals. The only job that I'll have up there is to represent you and your freedom and repeal all the freedom-killing laws that have passed in the last 10 to 15 years.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Grayson, your opportunity.
I want to thank the Atlanta Press Club, you, Bill, the panelists, for having us here. Again, my name is Derrick Grayson. You can visit my website, grayson2016.com, and you will find the things that I stand for, all of which comes down to being 100% constitutional and 100% of the time. If you want to continue to deal with legislation that impedes upon First Amendment, like the Religious Freedom Act that was just vetoed here in Georgia by Governor Deal, or if you want to continue to deal with infringements upon the Second Amendment, if you want to continue to be spied upon, then re-elect Johnny Isakson. But if you're tired of that, if you no longer want a king, if you want someone that will go and represent, not someone that says that they're going to be your leader, vote for Derrick Grayson for United States Senate. And I will name names, and I will stand up for you and represent.
All right. Derrick Grayson, thank you for those closing remarks. That concludes our debate. We'd like to remind you out there that the primary elections will be held on Tuesday, May 24th. Early voting is already underway. Our thanks to the candidates and to our panelists. We'd also like to thank the Atlanta Press Club for arranging tonight's debate. For more information about the Atlanta Press Club and all of the debates they'll host this primary election season, visit atlantapressclub.org. I'm Bill Nigut. Thanks for joining us for the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young Debate Series. Good night.